Forecast. Well, you can see here we do have a nice mix of sun and clouds. Rain is staying away for us on this Tuesday, so there's something to look forward to. But as we look at the weather impact heading into your Wednesday, we've got some pretty windy conditions ahead, but that's also what's going to help us get up near 70 degrees. You can see a lot happening behind me in the 7-day. Come back in about 15 and I'm going to walk through this with you and let you know what we can expect. But right now, if you are heading out, talk about that coming up. But let's get right to that weather impact, shall we? On this Tuesday morning on Election Day. Hopefully you're having a great start to the day and staying warm because it's cold right now, but I can tell you as we go into Wednesday afternoon, it is going to be warm and windy. That's going to be the highlight, I think. That's my pick of the week for sure. But I do want to show you the Election Day forecast as you're heading out the door right now. It's in the near freezing mark right now. We saw it's 33 in the metro, a lot of 20s in some of our more rural locations. So make sure if you're waiting at the polls this morning as the kids are heading to the bus stop, layers, 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 because you can see we're going to stay pretty chilly all the way until the 9 o'clock hour. The sun just starting to wake up itself. As we go to the afternoon, we'll have a nice mix of sun and clouds for today. But you can see this afternoon we eventually get up near 60. But that's only the beginning of the climb as we go Wednesday. But as we look ahead to the long-range forecast, I want to skip ahead to Friday because this is our next good chance of rain. And as you know, it's also Friday night football, 1st and 10. And you could have impacts as this next front comes through. This could be a nasty front. We could see some thunderstorms pop up. We could see some heavy downpours at times. Things are still coming together with the timing, but this would have rain start up late morning, early afternoon. And unfortunately, this could linger to by the time the football games are getting started. But you can see clearing on the backside. I'm hoping it speeds up and it's out of here so we don't have rain the entire game. But definitely the first half, we could be looking at that. Now for Saturday, this does exit overnight. We do get a brief break on Saturday. But by Sunday, our next storm system comes through. This one's going to pack a punch. When you're already starting to see some pinks and oranges, that's snow and a wintry mix for our friends up to the north. That also means some really cold air is wrapping in on the backside. And you can see here, this would indicate some lake effect snow coming in off of Lake Michigan, getting some off of Superior, Huron, even Lake Erie. But also, you can see that it might just get cold enough that we have some of that rain switch over to some snowflakes overnight Sunday into Monday. I'm not anticipating that we're going to have any accumulation, but we're going to keep watching this because that cold air sets up with us as we go into next week, as I'm going to show you right now in the 7-day forecast. So again, we have that peak for us tomorrow. It's going to be nice and warm, but windy. So if you're like me and you booked the tea time, just know you're dealing with a strong southwest wind. So position yourself smartly. Got her jacket on. You know, if you're somebody that gets cold easily and you're going to be waiting in longer lines, I would recommend some gloves, maybe a scarf, because we're going to be staying right around that freezing mark for the next several hours, eventually getting up to 60 this afternoon. A much better weather forecast as you're waiting at the polls by the lunch hour. But let me give you an idea of what those temperatures are looking like right now across central Ohio. Again, you can see some of our more rural locations in Newark and Lancaster. We're already below that freezing mark. Thankfully, the wind is not playing a factor this morning. Otherwise, we would have a wind chill that could make us feel like we are in the 20s. Regardless, it is cold this morning. Make sure you're bundled up. Same thing for those kiddos at the bus stop. Make sure they are nice and cozy as they head out the door. But don't worry, we've got some warm afternoons ahead today and tomorrow before we go on a little roller coaster of temperatures that could end with it crashing into the potential for some snowflakes by the end of the weekend. Oh yeah, I said that. We're going to talk about the full forecast and what exactly that means in about 15 minutes. We talk about La Nina or we talk about El Nino. Sorry, but we're probably working to get those graphics right now, but I can explain there's a difference. Here we go. So typically when we talk about La Nina and El Nino, we're talking about hurricane season, but it actually can influence our season. And as you see here, this is a typical La Nina outlook for us. We get much wetter than normal weather, which means if we typically see an inch of rain or snow, we could see an inch and a half or 2 inches. And sometimes it can be much milder for us. So when we are looking at the temperature outlook and you'll notice that this goes from December to February. You will notice that we are in the orange, which would mean more of an above average temperature. Now that could be slightly above average. If our average high, for example, is 39, we could be in the 40s or maybe into the 50s. But that doesn't mean every single day is going to stick to that pattern. Also with this would mean above average precipitation, which is exactly what's reflected here. Now there is some indication we might start to switch by the beginning of the year from a La Nina to more of that neutral, where it's in between the two, and which, by the way, that's pretty much the shift in the trade winds when we're talking about those two different situations. That could mean we go more to a typical Midwestern winter. So it's definitely going to be interesting for us, but I would definitely prepare for everything. And as always, living here in Ohio, have an outfit for every kind of season. Jay?
I know that's right.
So as always, I want to give you a sneak peek at the 7-day, what I'm going to be talking about. Tomorrow is my pick of the week. Almost 70. It's going to be windy, but it's going to be warm, at least compared to what we are dealing with the rest of the week. I'm going to talk about the rain and all that good stuff coming up in just a few minutes. But let's start off with the Election Day forecast. Right now, temperatures are right around or below the freezing mark. Thankfully, there's no wind. But you're still going to feel pretty cold, especially compared to where we go this afternoon, which the weather, again, is going to improve. We just have to get through the spread the next couple of hours. So for the little ones at the bus stop, again, layers, gloves, it's okay to send them with extra stuff, right? They can always put it in their backpack and then know that after school, we're going to be right around 60 degrees with plenty of sun. And sun is a lot of dry air that's hanging out with us right now. However, as we go into the end of the week, you can see our next front comes through. I'm going to time this out for us. We're still working on timing, especially with the impacts we could see to 1st and 10, our football games in the evening. But it does look like at least the first half of the game, we're looking at rain and maybe a little bit of wind. But this is moving pretty fast, and I'm hoping in the next couple of days this will be out of here faster than it is, so we have less rain at the game, but I want you to prepare ahead for that. After that, though, we get a brief lull on Saturday. Saturday's looking mainly dry, but this nasty little storm system on Sunday could actually bring us some really cold air, where Sunday night into Monday, if we do have some precip, which it's looking like that, we might see a few of those raindrops turn over to wet snowflakes. I know. That wouldn't be the first official snow unless we get accumulation, however. And typically for us, it's mid-November that we see that first snow here in Columbus. I believe the 22nd. But everybody, and make sure you are nice and bundled up, waiting to vote this morning. We're in the 30s and we're going to stay there for a few more hours. Now this afternoon will be much warmer. Good news is there's no rain in the forecast, and so we are looking at a good election day. Get out and vote.